Yeah.
We'll go over it.
Oh
Okay,
my.
so let me make sure I've got all this stuff there. That's good. That's good. It's just loading for us. It'll take just a second. Great gobs of gravy. Okay.
Check one, check two,
Alrighty.
check Norris.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience. For those who are going to show up right at 9, I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet for this one because sharing screens is apparently a fun thing. So I'm Matt from Always Strikes Last, and I want to present these two fine gentlemen. I'm going to go in order of how I'm seeing them on screen. So Mason and Matt as well. These guys are the heavy hitters in our local area. I highly recommend you check out their lists, check out their games, and listen to them when they speak because they are badasses. Also, really cool dudes. So I'm going to let them go ahead and take it away right after this. And this is the PNW Masters. They'll probably explain a little bit more. This is a list of all of the people that are super rad and heavy hitters within the area. So obviously, I don't make that cut because I like playing bad lists. So they're going to show you how good lists work with good players because they're good players and they make good lists and they know how lists work. So take it away, guys. I'm just going to sit here and watch the sky for a little while.
All right. So yeah, the Pacific Northwest Masters, I'm sure everyone watching probably knows, but it was like a qualifier tournament all year long with the local region. So there was an east side, north side, south side, west side, over into Idaho, north into Canada, south into Oregon. So this is going to be like the top 24 available representatives, and people that were in that caliber got invited to it. So we wanted to go over their list again.
Yep. So this is pretty badass.
Who's number one?
Awesome names. Who is number one? The
how do you even
battle.
Get 5.5 different points?
Well, you put on your pants one leg at a time, and,
yeah,
and then you're Beasley.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so I thought this time we would just go alphabetical. Does that seem fair?
Sounds great.
Okay,
let's do the first one though. I mean, I can talk about it, but I think we probably know it better.
Okay, yeah. So this is Alex Gonzalez. He's playing Khorne, Reapers of Vengeance. Let's see. He has Bloodthirster, General, Slaughter Priest, second Bloodthirster. The Unfettered Fury is the Boomthirster, right?
I believe that's the other one. I was actually talking about
Insensate Rage.
Last one. Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't have a Boomthirster.
Okay.
Unfettered Fury, is I think the one that lets you. I think that's when he's got the pile and 6 on. Let's check.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Let's check. This is there's always these Bloodthirsters that always look the same.
I know.
Well, one of them's got like a whip, and then the other one's got a big axe, and
Yeah, he doesn't have the big
strong axe. Start.
So
listen, Khorne's always a curveball.
This is the whip one.
Wrath of Khorne, has
so he basically doesn't have the Risk Thirster, and he has the other twos.
Yes. So no big mortal circles. The Slave to Darkness Demon Prince is always super annoying to play against, and he's going to do the Blood Slit Ground to have your run and charge. It moves within 18, so it's a very good range. I do believe it has to be on his turn that you activate it, so you can always try to get him off the table. He is a 3-up save base, so he's pretty tough. But then we've got Scarbrand and a second Slaughter Priest. So basically here we got like 3 big Bloodthirsters, a couple of Slaughter Priests. They do have great prayers, Khorne. They've got a pretty good damage one. They've got a heal one. They've got some nice. They have one that just like gives them a blood tithe point, I think.
Yep.
The big thing to know about that the Unfettered Fury Bloodthirster basically is that it has a command ability that allows you to pile in 6. So don't do things like I've done in the past where I went within 9 to screen and had it redeploy forward, and then it could go and pile in 6 into the screen I had set up.
Yeah, gross stuff.
Yeah, you can do some really interesting slingshot stuff with this list.
Yep. Then, just to round it out, he's got the 3 units of Fleshhound battle lines for this fast cav based screen, and then the Wrathmongers, they're going to give out the +1 attack to Scarbrand. Well, and other stuff as well, but really they're probably there to boost Scarbrand, because if he doesn't fight for one, if you don't know what Scarbrand, if he doesn't fight for the first turn, which is usually going to be the case, then the next turn he's enraged and he's going to fight at his top or bottom bracket, his most powerful point, and it's a bunch of damage. So it starts at a single attack, and they can get, they have ways to juice that up. This list, however, just has really the one there.
Yeah. And
Right.
Wrathmongers are just straight decent at killing random stuff too. So
And then you've also got 120 points in invocations, which is the mortal wounds, and really, really bad for casters.
yeah.
Yeah, really obnoxious. Yeah, because most people aren't rocking priest to get rid of those things. So the
two-
Hexguarder souls are really annoying.
Yeah, 2 years in and I'm still having pains from having to fight against those.
Subtract 2 from casting rolls from wizards that are within 12 of Hexgorger Skulls. In addition, if a wizard within 8 of this attempts to cast a spell and rolls an 8, then it's not successful. The wizard no longer knows the spell, and each wizards within 12 suffers D6 mortals. It's great.
Yeah, it's gross.
Brutal.
Yeah. So let's see, that's Alex's list, and then we've got the second one up, which is Andrew is bringing Ogre Maw Tribes.
This I'm happy for.
Well, you should talk about it then. Do you know it? Go ahead.
No, I'm just happy he's bringing Ogre Maw Tribes. Because he's been talking about it for a little while. So
Yeah, I haven't seen him play this yet.
yeah, he used to play them quite a bit. Looks like Frostlord on Stonehorn.
Yeah,
And
so
a
2
second
Frost
Butcher.
Lords on Stonehorn, and he's
Butcher.
got a way to give 2 of them an artifact. He's got one of them taking Metal Cruncher, which makes sense. He's
has
got the
3.
Icebrow Hunter as the general, which allows those Frost Sabers to be battle lines. So it's a way that, like, it's a cheap package there for like 235 points to get 2 battle line in your general, and he can deep strike those. So having some deep strike ability is kind of nice. It's
He
funny,
actually
he's
has
got
3 Frost Lords.
Oh wow, yeah, and the Stonehorn Beast Riders. So just a bunch of Stonehorns. Stonehorn
think-
City, basically.
It's a strong way to go, and the Frost Sabers being able to deep strike in on this one, right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, at least 1 unit gets to go with the Icebrow. It might be 2. I forget
Yeah.
exactly how that works, but he will have some deep strike option if he wants with the Icebrow and at least one of the Frost
I think
Sabers.
both. I think both.
Okay.
But let's see. So 4 drops. So this list is, it's how many drops is easy? 4. I think he's going to prefer to go second most of the time, but can hit turn 1 for sure. I mean, Frost Lords are fast enough that he can hit turn 1. There's
Mhm.
not a lot of movement tricks, right? So I think that
Nope, just hoping the 14 movement and some charge is enough.
are they really 14? That's what I was double checking if they were.
Yeah, either that or just letting somebody move forward enough
Oh.
to capture objectives and then clearing them, right? So that's
Yeah, so they have +2 movement, remember, if they're hungry, and as long as they're not in
Oh.
combat, they're hungry.
Mhm.
So that's where they get the extra move from.
Got it. Okay, so 14 move and 14 move. So especially on those 18-inch scenarios, I mean, that's like
Yeah.
yeah.
And if
That's
you're
clearing
not
your
there,
face.
they're in your face, so it's kind of an interesting.
And levitate on the butcher is interesting as well.
Yeah, kind of hope maybe a Stonehorn can fly to the moon.
Yeah, maybe. It's
the
interesting.
the rune tokens is interesting. Just like a re-rolls all the things for a turn. It's a pretty good artifact, really.
Mhm. Yeah, it's pretty good for them. They want that reroll.
I guess my worry for Andrew will be that the tournament is mostly incarnates, as far as I can tell.
There's 5.
Only
There's
5.
only 5.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Never
So
mind.
that will be problematic. I agree. And I think that this was a neat read because there's not a whole bunch of shooting. necessarily.
Okay.
But yeah, I do believe that this army is going to want to play for a lot of double turns. I think this this army naturally like needs a fair bit extra luck because you need to have the good charge rolls and then you need the charge rolls to deal the mortals because it's important. So like not only that, but with that, it goes without saying there that the charges need to land. So
Right.
it's got some really some really important must-have moments, and if it can happen, it's really gross. But if they miss it, it can be pretty devastating.
Got it.
But Metal Cruncher is a really good mount trait, unless you have like a 6-up save or a 1-up save. I think everything else is you're gonna deal D6 mortals to you each combat, so it's really gross.
Yeah,
And it's like everything around it.
It's like the better the save, the more damage it does, I think.
Yep.
Metal
well,
Cruncher.
the better the save, the easier it is
Right.
to cause the D6 mortal wounds.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So I mean, this is a great list. This is very Andrew. This is fly by the seat of your pants in some ways, and
I'm surprised no
also,
Craig knows, but he's like, I've got 4 Stonehorns. Damn it, I'm playing them.
I mean, why not run what you started with? You
Yep.
know,
I agree.
right before you get the new book. I think that's beautiful.
Oh, so this is a goodbye to ogres.
A farewell.
Good. Yeah.
Farewell, Stonehorns.
I kept doing farewell things, and then the new fact didn't come out, so the dated.
You know, I'm sure Stonehorns are just gonna like drastically get overhauled and be so different.
Yeah.
So the good thing he's getting it out now because it's not gonna be the same, right? They're gonna be all casters. It's gonna be crazy. Whatever you thought Stonehorns were, you were wrong.
That's right. They'll never be hungry.
Okay, this is Brian Cox's list, right?
All right, Brian, what you got? Oh, are you doing the cockatrice list? He's doing the cockatrice list.
He is doing it a little bit. I think he's playing All Herd, which is kind of the more summoning sub faction. He's got the Dragon Ogre Shagoth, which is pretty standard. It looks like he's got a Doom Bull as the general, which Brian does pretty often to get the Bulgors as battle line. So he's got 2 units of 6 Bulgors. You know, those things can hit really hard, but I think their struggle is that they're on 4s and 3s base normally. The way he plays them, they start the game with just gross rend and damage, but the 4s and 3s can be pretty tough.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. I was just gonna reinforce, like, they hit really hard.
Yep, especially when you get them nuked up. And then the other problem that they have is their save, right? So 5+ against shooting, and then 4+ if they have shields. So there's quite a bit of give and take with Bulgars.
But he does.
They get nuts.
Yeah, he does have 4 cockatrices, so not enough to be really like be spamming them, but definitely enough that they'll have a presence, right? That is good odds for mortals. They take up good space and they're quick. They have a shooting attack for D6 mortals. It can be really swingy, can be great, and then can be you can miss every single time. He's he's playing 3 units of Zangor Enlightened in Min, which it has potential. I can see that there. It's like kind of a similar idea to a cockatrice, but maybe a little bit more of a tie-up and can poke idea. Then he's got the Gashrax Despoilers. I left that out from the heroes, but that's like an enhanced Greybray Shaman, and he's got a little pack for 50 extra points basically to back him up. So it's a cool unit.
Yeah, +1 to hit on the spell, which helps a lot with the Bulgors, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Now, the rules of this about those enlightened are going to be those enlightened are going to get re-rolls to hit and wound, but are not going to prevent command abilities.
Yeah, I was just actually gonna talk about that. This is probably going to be the last time we see a lot of these because Zangor what do you call him? Zangor
Enlightened?
No, the enlightened babysitters, essentially. So enlightens are great for sitting next to Bulgors, because if somebody gets within 3 and wipes a couple of Bulgor, the enlightened are now able to get in with their 2-inch range and take swipes with rerolls on everything. Bulgors act as a great shield for that. So this is probably going to be another probably last effect one. Although I can see them having quite a bit of power later on. I think they're probably going to fall out for this specific use case in this list in the future. So this could be another last hurrah.
Some Enlighten behind some Bulgors.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah,
it.
Bulgors are the shield, Enlighten come up and then do the real damage along with whatever Bulgor is left from receiving a charge.
Yeah.
Generally how I've seen them be played.
And then to finish it out, he's got the unit of 6 Dragon Ogres there as well, with the Wildfire Taurus, which is a big endless spell that can make stuff around it fight last. So you kind of want to steer clear of that, and I do believe it can get multiple targets with the fight last.
Yeah, it's anybody within 3, I believe.
I think this is the strength. I think this list does a good job of highlighting the strength of Beast of Chaos right now, which is like it's cheap. It gets a lot of stuff.
Right. Yeah. You just look down that list and that's just a lot of bodies. I mean, that's how I was playing it at Sparkle Party. It was just a lot of bodies right away. It summons more bodies right away if it wants to. With All Herd, you're pretty reasonably getting to like 5 or 6 of the summoning points into your opponent's turn. Or into the end of your turn.
Units have to be amazing because they're also not chaff. I mean, there's a little bit of chaff, but
well, yeah, but when everything has like free Ren 2 and Ren 3 starting in round 3, it's like, yeah, even chaff is gross. There's like later points in the game where you're like, okay, I'll summon a unit of Bestigor here or something and just do nutso damage with them. Yeah. This list is going to be kind of scary. It's got a lot of bodies, so it can clog up the board, a lot of hitty potential, like with everything. And then you've got the mortals from the potential mortals from the cockatrice. Definitely a strong list.
Yeah, and Brian's an excellent pilot too. So
yeah, he's been playing them religiously.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm curious. So Mason, you just played a cockatrice spam list. The thing that I was thinking about the most was like how it would do on objectives, because a flock of cockatrice is a lot of objective points.
Yeah, honestly, that was a huge part of it. In the last game against Robbie, he had some expert conqueror like Savage Boys, right? And I killed a couple of them, but he was able to do the big ward on the first turn, so I didn't lift many, and so the expert conquerors were still sitting pretty firm on that point. But because the cockatrice base is small and they count as 5 models each, I was able to get like a bunch of them with Bael'Akor and a Shaggoth, and a couple of my other units on this point to take it even from a unit of expert conquerors. So it can be really gross, and a cockatrice plus a unit of enlightened, or a cockatrice, 2 cockatrices with the Bulgors, right? Like anything like that, anything they have like a pair that they go with on an objective, and it's out capturing megas at times, so it can be pretty gross. At 4, again, it's going to be a lot of projected bodies when he needs it, if he keeps them together, or kind of spread wide because they do run pretty quick and just kind of go sit on points and be obnoxious and blast stuff.
Yeah, and the great thing they do is target priority. This list will mess with your target priorities all over the place. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at Sparkle Party, I had 3 of them. I was playing 6 in my list main board. And so I had 3 go into a Magmadroth, and they all hit, and I dealt 14 mortals, and it just like lifted the Magmadroth up. But then I played in round 4 against Manfred, and I probably had like 2 rounds where 3 and or 4 went into it. It had to have been like close to 9 or 10 shots, and I dealt like 3 mortals. So it can be really, really swingy, and I didn't even need it against the Magmadroth, but I really needed it against Manfred, and it was just not happening.
That's the way the D6 goes.
Yeah,
that is the way.
Yeah.
All right, Cameron. Cameron is playing Soul Blight. He's been playing some Sylvaneth recently, so it looks like he's Soul Blight with a Mega.
He's been playing Skaven, right?
He plays he plays all 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Oh, you're
Um,
right. Last event he did play Skaven.
Yeah, that's right. He had the Storm Vermin and Shooty list.
This
Or
is
not
an
Storm Vermin,
interesting
sorry,
list.
Vermin.
Storm
Storm
Fiends.
Fiends.
Yeah.
So the corpse cart with Balefire, Brazers,
Should be the +1 to cast, I think.
are they cumulative?
I'm not sure, but it does dole out like a -1 to wound aura or something like that. So he could be having like two purposes of two separate auras
Yeah.
of that to enemies.
He
Um,
doesn't have the minus the +1 to the +1 to cast one. This is the other one. It's
Subtract one.
cast and subtract one from wound rolls, what Mason was saying. For
Okay,
attacks
so
made by melee weapons while they within 9 of this. So that's cool. So that, yeah, so he doesn't have the
you run it
passive
in the
bonuses.
middle of your army, so when they come into it, they're -1 to wound, like against a giant, and it's protected by like that 60 block of zombies or something like that.
Yeah,
or
you
10
can
dire wolves.
spread them out on either side and just creep up the battle. Well, not creep, but I guess if
Yeah.
your zombies slog, not
So-
even slog.
So you can put one with the zombies and one with the mega. It's actually interesting. It's a pretty meaningful debuff to be -1 to wound against the mega. It's not something they would normally have access to.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think if you recall back to the last LVO, the runner-up was actually doing something similar with the cart, the mega, and also the Vangori Lord, like
Mhm.
has a debuff as well. And so he paired those three together often so that you had just big advantage with that Gatebreaker. Oh, and
makes
funny
sense.
enough, another goodbye to the Gatebreaker, because he is going to have the new book. It's like slightly different,
Feel like we got a lot of goodbyes going on here.
Right. Belladonna, she gets no, she doesn't get free wolves. That's
She does not.
She summons wolves by killing people, and she has
Okay.
cute little feats.
right.
She has the cute feats.
She has a re-rollable casting, right? It's Virkos.
Uh-huh.
I believe so, yeah.
And yeah, and chaff summoning.
Yep.
And she's super durable, right? Because she can bodyguard to wolves really effectively.
Yep.
Well, if I remember correctly, it's pinning spawning, right? In the same way that you would Zinch Chaos spawn. Don't you
Yeah, it's
subtract it
harder
from that
because
unit?
they're two wounds.
Yeah.
So it's yes, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Gorslav, I think, is there because he can bring back like a bunch of the zombies if they do finally get lifted. He can bring those back.
Yeah, and so let's see, how did we did end up clarifying that you can't use both Gorslav and the faction ability. So mainly what Gorslav is doing here is increasing the reliability on the res of the zombies, which makes sense when you have a 60 block that you want that 30 block back immediately if it dies.
Right. And is Gorslav's once per game, or would he get it for even the dire wolves and skeletons?
Pretty sure it's once per game and only for zombies.
No,
so.
it's once per turn.
Is it once per turn?
Yeah,
That's gnarly.
it's really good. It's just that it doesn't stack with the other ability. But yeah, no, it gives you. And I think it's anything. Anything that you could bring back. Yeah, any dead walkers.
Yep.
Oh man,
Deadwalkers.
and those zombies are the zombies, wolves, and skeletons are all in expert conquerors. So that zombie block is gonna like pick a point and own it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
But when
hard.
they come back, they won't have expert conquerors, which is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're gonna have a -1 to wound, and they're gonna have a mega gargant backing them up. It's gonna be, I think this is gonna be kind of like a sit and slog list.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's sorry, go ahead.
it's okay. You're gonna wanna, if you can, try to take out support heroes. They'll definitely start to dwindle when the little heroes can die. And it's true that Belladonna can bodyguard. However, it's my opinion that it's still worth like overwhelming her most of the time.
Oh yeah.
Because you can bodyguard so much, but you will take damage still.
Yeah,
So-
and it's also worth noting that like with the Gorslav thing, like it has to be around him wholly within 9, right? So Yeah, they've got there's that locate like local area where those zombies can come back. So
As opposed to any grave site with a normal res.
yeah, so it's wholly within 9 of the unit that use the command ability. So
Got
a
it.
friendly model with the command ability, 9 from enemy units. So it's actually very situational. If I were looking at it.
Yeah, I think a final note that I have to say about Soul Blight is you have to be very careful with like when you choose for stuff to die. Or like when you choose to like kill your, I guess what I mean is when you choose to kill an opponent's unit, because there's a lot of stuff that can happen. So like for an example, I was playing and I killed a unit of zombies. I had finally like infiltrated the backboard, got this objective that I needed, got these points, and it was working out awesome. But then he was able to let the zombies run, roll the dice to get them back, succeed, have them come up out of a grave site on the other side of the board and take my objective that I was trying to against the odds that turn. So
Yep.
I was like blown away, and because of how the order of all of this happened, the way that all this happens and the timing, it all works. It's all good. But it cost me the tactic, and so like I had gotten this point on the backfield and I was all excited about, I even like rolled hot for the cockatrice hits on his melee hits, but it actually backfired and cost me so they have some really tricky stuff with those grave sites. So just be careful. They can be all over the place.
Yeah, ECO running the Black Knight list, there were more than one occasions where that happened, where I was able to just put Black Knights on an objective and say, nope, sorry. It's kind of mean, but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
a great
I
way
loved
to
it.
keep your opponent off kilter. So
Yes.
And so generally what you do about that is make sure that whatever objectives you have, there's something within 3 inches of the center.
yeah, and then make sure that when you sacrifice your units, you have momentum in the game, right? So when you sacrifice your units for death, you want to make sure that you're already either up in points, or if you can control that tempo.
Are you talking about which player? Are you talking about the opponent?
Oh, playing against vampires, you want to make sure that you're owning the tempo as much as you can.
You don't want to get down. Yeah. You should be, because they're gonna outgrind.
Yeah. So if you can maximize your points early, they're going to maximize their points late. If a competent vampire counts player is on the field, they will inevitably catch up to you. So it's very important.
One final thought for this one. If there's 5 or 6 zombies left in a unit, okay, and you can retreat from that unit or kill it and risk them getting the 30 back, which do you normally do?
Always retreat. Don't let me get, and I don't play zombies. I play Black Knights only because I'm a weirdo. Don't let me be able to get that one unit dead, so then I can drop them over somewhere else, right?
I see.
The chance of me being able, unless you're playing a complete area denial list, don't let me do that.
I would say the thing to be careful about is that zombies pile in 6, so you better be fast enough to be able to retreat wholly outside of 6.
Right.
Yep, that as well.
All right. And the cool thing about this is like most of our conversation is like about 360 points of the list.
Yep.
Like there's still the other 1600 points of the list. Like where is it? I feel like I'm missing something.
I mean, we've got Big Drog, right? And then a vampire. Well, no, it's just a vampire lord. Oh, I love it. I actually really like this just walking list.
Yeah, and then so he's got just a bunch of recursion.
Yeah. He's doing the tons of walkers. Oh, and Kritza.
Yeah.
I never understood Kritza, but I really like the model. So I'm happy to see it.
All right.
All right.
Probably speed up a little bit. I just looked at the time. We started late, which is
okay.
Okay, Chris Lemoy.
Chris.
So he's running a lot of the same. He's basically, there might be some slight variation, so I apologize, but it's a lot of the same like Hero Hammer lists that he's been running.
Yeah. Great stuff. Looks like he's going all in on the endless spells, which is nice.
Yep, that's what he was doing at Matt's event as well. However, he didn't
Nice.
cast them as much because they've got a lot of spells that they want to cast anyways.
Yep.
But yeah, he's very good, and he knows the list very well. And it's got the nice thing about the army is that it is toolboxy in a way, and he's got a lot of the power players. So yeah, so this is a great list. There's not much more to say. It's like it's a big hero hammer list. He does get to summon 10 wolves with Radikar the Beast.
Yep.
He has to have charged. So Manfred, the other thing that I mentioned probably is Manfred, if he's in combat, can choose to teleport away at the start of combat instead of being in that fight. So
I think that's the biggest. Like if you haven't played against Manfred, read the War Scroll.
Yeah,
he's a jerk.
And then you've got a lot of power. They'll have a lot of like command abilities. For like, you get what for how long? Okay.
Yep. And just don't get charged by Prince Vordry or Radikar. They will surprise you.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Cody Quigley.
All right.
So this is probably the new, so this is using the White Dwarf for Flesh Eater Courts that allows for the double 4-up rally from the heroic action from the I think it's the Crypt Haunter Courtier. It's one of the courtiers, or maybe it's one of the summoned ones.
It's either the Archregent or the courtier. I fought this one,
but I'm trying to figure out which courtier it is because like it's
well, the Vargolf courtier is the one that can bring back your flayers.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Vargolf courtier has the War Scroll ability to do a specific kind of rally on flayers. It's like a muster.
Yeah.
You get an average of 2 back, regardless of how many are dead. And then the faction has a heroic action to muster.
Yep.
And then you have most of the grip players back. So it's an interesting list. It's the first blister, or it's the first Flesh Eater Court list I've seen in a long time without a Terrorgeist, and I kind of like it because he's replaced the Terrorgeist with the more powerful right now Incarnate.
Yep. Because Charles, I think at your
moments.
event and maybe in the last couple events was playing one, but I still think he had a Zombie Dragon or a Terrorgeist in addition to Kronspine.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's had his Terrorgeist quite a bit. I fought that list so much now, it feels like. So very solid.
Dale is playing Daughters of Cain Hagnar.
He's playing the Avatar list again.
Is he?
I love it.
This is a cool list because it's a lot of distributed threat. Like it's a little bit of shooting and a lot of distributed medium-sized threat.
Right. It's a lot of free book battle tactics is what it is, baby. He's not the only one. But yeah, it's all those avatars are gross. Yeah. And they can monstrous action you, but you can't monstrous action them.
And they're not actually monsters, I think.
No, they're not.
Nope.
Yeah.
But they do have a 5-up board.
So basically what you have to think about playing against it is how to deal with a distributed number of medium-sized threats.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the non-Marathi Daughters list for variety. All right, Dirk.
He continues to not play Marathi. So
Yeah.
She's a trap nowadays. Just too many points.
I don't know. She's very good.
She is very good. Still a trap.
Dirk for the first time not playing Night Haunt.
I know.
I think that he must have submitted the wrong list.
Nope. I got the I got the pleasure of seeing him try to pilot this up at Aegis Games last little invitational. So it was fun.
I sold him this army.
Good solid game. He knows what he's doing already. So
Yeah.
Is Dirk, I thought Dirk is Victoria's Secret now. Is that new?
No, he's part of Aegis.
He's from the area.
Wrong, but right because
there's some issues with the teams in BCP because he manually added people to it, and so it like auto pulled in preloaded stuff that they might have had from a previous event. I forget exactly, but
got it.
But yeah, Dirk's list is interesting here. He's playing 2 turtles.
Yep. Yeah.
So 2 turtles, and then for his battle line, he's got pretty basic battle or pretty bare battle line from the Nautilar. I think that this is the Shiver. So they're individual sharks that want to work as a unit. They get extra bonus attacks if they're near the other Shivers.
Yeah, I thought Nautilus is the one that makes Turtles battle line.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Yeah, there's 2 battle line turtles.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right. Gosh.
So
Are they in? What are they in? They're in Battle Regiment. Okay, and then you just got 3 sharks in Conquerors, or sorry, not Conquerors, Bounty Hunters.
Okay, and he's got 2 with launchers and 1 with nets.
yep, it's just a good no nonsense list.
I think
He
the
had
big
2 turtles.
surprising thing for people is the Eidolon of the Sea's new spell, which can lower your save by D3. So it literally could be add run 3.
Right,
Yep.
right. And it's actually going to be a lot of shooting with 2 Alapexes with harpoons and 2 turtles. That's going to be 24 shots, rend 1 D3 damage.
So a lot of 18-inch range shooting.
Yeah, 18 or 24. It's pretty good range. Yeah, I think the net is less, like 12 on the net, but they are very fast too.
Yeah, all of like I was just gonna say all of which can be in your face on turn 1 if they really want to. So pretty much, yeah.
Oh yeah, the 20. Are the sharks 18 and the turtles 24, or the sharks 24 too?
I kind of thought it was the exact same shot, but
You are correct.
Yeah.
I'm remembering wrong. I haven't played against. I have played against sharks since the new book.
oh, and you know what's gross is that you can just like move anything obnoxious in front of the turtles, and now they like can't be shot at, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about that, it's a relatively. It doesn't seem like too bad of an ability because like you still get to shoot something.
Right.
There's nothing in there you don't want to shoot.
Yeah, this is interesting. Actually, the more I look at it, it's a bunch of shooting with a couple of turtles that are going to crash in after they've shot to just
Yeah,
hold down the fort.
Just good,
what it
solid,
does
no
have-
nonsense. You know what it's gonna do. It's coming at you. Deal
He
with it.
doesn't have the thing to make it so that the first turn his opponent can only shoot 12 because there's no little character to do that.
Right. That's Lotan.
It's any of the Isharan characters.
Oh, okay.
But
He
I
is
do like
keeping the
main-
creeping gloom tide, so he's trying to keep you away from the ship.
Interesting. Huh. All right.
Very cool.
Let's close this. Okay, so then we've got Jack.
Jack Geiger, awesome. Glad to
Oh,
see
right.
Jack's back. Hopefully, he has recovered mentally.
Yeah, this is good. It's variety of Dracothion and double Storm Strike.
Yeah, it seems pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like. Is a Gardas in here somewhere? I'm looking for a Gardas.
So it looks like it's Lord Relictor and Battle Mage,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
10 crossbows, liberators, 2 tempesters, 2 fulminators, 4 tempesters.
That's where the points went. Yeah, it's a lot of Tempesters. That's
Yeah.
very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and crossbows, which is nice. So
Yeah.
the tempesters have the same crossbow shot as the bolt storm crossbows. So basically, all hits are 2 hits. It ends up being a lot of attacks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really gets
Yeah,
overwhelming.
And to not be undersold, that's 8 chances at a 4-up to deal mortals with the Dracothian's breaths as well. So they actually do a fair bit of damage. And then the unit of 2 fulminators there to keep them honest and melee, to smash into whatever they might need to. And then 2 storm strike chariots with a horror ghast. Oh, I see. He's made the Relictor a caster. Still taking the high priest though. I respect that. Need to be able to re-roll that 1 for teleports.
You really do. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's just such a huge part of the army that it's an auto take.
Yep. The very first time I met Jack, we played at Emerald City Open in February, and he didn't have it because he had taken I think he had taken someone else as the general and just put the arcane tome on him or something like that, and he rolled a 1
Oh,
2
no.
turns in a row with the teleport. It's tough.
All right. Then we've got
Jay.
Jay. Oh, I know what's going to be in this list. You all know what's in this list?
No, I haven't taken a single look.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's a lot of shooting.
Oh boy. Sentinels, wardens.
There's literally 1,000 points of sentinels.
Yeah, but you know what? To back him up a little bit, okay? It is pre new book Sentinels, but
Okay.
post box Sentinels. So it's the weakest that these have ever been.
Because they don't ignore line of sight and they're 24-inch range.
That's correct. Yeah.
But it's pre-new book, so it's not as weak as they've ever been because they still have access to Lambent Light, and they will not in the future.
Yep. So this seems like another last
hurrah.
hurrah.
As
like
many as possible. I have a second
Wind
defense
Mage.
for him though, which is he's always brought in like different Lumineth lists all the time, and he's never brought in like a crazy heavy archer list like this. So at least he's not been devouring our meta with 60 archers or however many this is over and over and over again.
I mean, end of the last season with we had already gone through that. At this point, it would be like, okay, cool. That's
Right.
what's going on.
Yeah.
No, I like the Wind Mage though as well.
Yeah, still
with
want to be
Guiding
able to
Furies.
teleport. Yeah. Definitely want to be able to teleport still. The Lord Regent is really great. And of course the Enlightener, she's got the double cast, right?
Yes, it's double cast, and I don't think you need to defend him. It's just hilarious. Like, I mean,
No, I was just chose to.
There's a lot of
you know?
hard lists of this event. Yeah, I think the Enlightener with the double cast, and I think that means the Enlightener has a chance of having the speed on multiple units. I guess you probably can't double cast. You can double cast Lambent Light, you can double cast Overwhelming Heat, and you can double cast Speed. Double casting Lambent Light is deeply annoying.
I don't want to fight this list. I hate Lumineth, dude.
That spurred the whole evolution of all dragon ogres. That was the only thing that could make it in an age of underpowered beasts of chaos. Yep, just too many wounds for them to deal with.
It's one drop. It's gross.
Is it one drop?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
Today, if we play, I really hope I win that roll off.
Yeah.
All right.
What a fun game that roll off is.
Yeah, I like
Jeremy, the boy.
Keeping it original with his Stormcast still. He always switches it up as well. I respect that, So he's got this time Battle Mage and the Castellan to give a free +1 save. So that's really awesome. Then the Relictor with High Priest again for the teleport. Then he's rocking reinforced unit of Fulminators and 2 units of Liberators. So Liberators are probably going to go up in the sky a lot of the times. And then a big unit of Fulminators. Can also go in the sky if you need them safe, or it can just be menacing on the ground. He is also playing 2 Stormstrike Chariots and 2 units of 3 Long Strike crossbows with a unit of Aether Wings.
I mean, I think you basically, when I look at this, I'm like, all right, I'm going to see if I resolve Mystic Shield. If I do, I'm going to put it on the Fulminators. Maybe I try +2 charge and Battle Mage first. If I resolve that in the Fulminators, I'm going to try Mystic Shield. If I resolve that, I'm going to +1 save them. Then I've got +2 save, +2 charge Fulminators, and then I'm going to teleport them.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Then the Vanguard Raptors hold down an area with the Aether Wings, Stormstrike Chariots, just do Stormstrike Chariots, and Liberators hold what they want to hold. This is a nice, well-rounded list.
It is. It's kind of a no nonsense. It's actually like a lot more of the Stormcast we were seeing, right? It's kind of the new rendition of the Fulminator Long Strike teleport idea.
Yeah, but not so much all in like it used to be. So
I imagine that he's playing the shooting Holy Command.
I would think so, yeah, because you've got the 2 single unreinforced blocks of Long Strikes that it hasn't been nerfed for. So
right, I'm a big fan of potentially omitting that and then going for like a Warlord battalion, taking a second one so that the Fulminators can have the run and charge, and you can have the shooting.
Yeah.
You do lower your drop priority, but he's already chosen to be slightly more
Yeah.
drops to get the chariots in bounty hunters.
Is he just, yeah, he's 4 drops. The fulminators and the chariots are in bounty hunters.
Yeah, and he can hide half in the sky, so there's a
Yeah.
little bit of leeway for. I don't
Good
know.
thing those fulminators
Good.
are in bounty hunters because now it might actually be able to lift that 60-man zombies in one go. Everything else it was already melting, I promise. Like just get that in that battle reg. Like maybe it was jam packed. I didn't do a count, but
Hey, Slink, nice.
nice.
All right.
Who's this?
Oh, is this my list?
Yeah, so wait,
Is this your
I'll do
list?
your list and you do mine, and I don't
Okay.
don't give away all your secrets, but let's see, when I
Okay.
see this list, the first thing that I saw as I like looked at it and went back was grand strategy and no place for the weak, which is I believe kill all the galley vets. I think there's some gambling on not having galley vets, but then also when then you look in the list, there's a lot of ways to come and project shooting power from unexpected angles or very close. And so Slink and the Claw Pack can both pop up within 6. Your gutter runners are doing mortal wound shooting. I think that how this works is that you have the warp grinder to let the storm fiends pop up 9 away from enemies, shooting over chaff lines if they need to. And then Lauchon can be used to move Thankful around. And so this list is just really full of movement tricks. And what makes it deeply annoying is Horrorghast, because you can, depending on the opponent, if they have clumped up or castled to deal with you being a bunch of obnoxious jump around teleport shooting, then you can put the Horrorghast in the middle of that castle, and any large units are going to take a really painful battle shock test from a distributed shooting volume.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
So spread out, but not too much.
Yep. Another cool thing that I don't think gives away too many tricks, just because it's all I would explain it this way when we played anyways. My Arch Warlock is actually juiced up with Devious Adversary to give him +2 to his melee profile. So the Arch Warlock actually has a pretty awesome combat profile, and so now I've given him +2 attacks, and one of the crack rocks that he gets gives him +1 to hit and wound in melee. So he's actually a really juicy general, like for combat output, and he's a great target to be like you said, like to use my movement tricks to get him somewhere, and he can kill a lot of stuff. He's got a rend 3 damage 3 attack.
Yeah.
So
Thankful is doing 2 times as many mortals as whatever the size of the unit however many models are within 8 inches in the unit, he's doing 2 times that many mortals to the unit.
well, so it's going to be 4 dice per model.
Right.
Yeah.
So 4 ups per model, so 2x. So if you're in
Yeah.
range of 20 zombies, on average, that's 40 zombies.
Yeah. I decided I wasn't going to play Thankful. I was going to do like a mono Eshin 35 gutter runner build, but
Just stepping all over my juice there, huh?
yeah, it was gonna be gross. But then I reread the Eshin trait for Skaven, and it's sad days, because with one Eshin hero, I get to pick one of your heroes, and all of my Eshin get +1 to hit and wound against that hero. And that's in ranged and in melee. All of my Eshin do against the one I've chosen. If I have 3, though, I get +1 to hit and wound only in melee,
Yep.
but against all of your heroes. Now, so I was trying to do like a gross gutter runner, night runner, reign of mortals, and it still would have been that, but I was losing the +1 to hit and wound so I was really bummed out. So then I was like, scrap the whole idea.
So wait, if you only have one Eshin hero, all Eshin heroes?
All Eshin models get +1 to hit and wound against a hero of your choice of your opponent.
Yeah, single hero.
of your choice. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
If you
it.
had 3, it turned into every hero your opponent has, but the wording
only
changes
melee.
to only get melee. Yeah. So
That
it's
makes sense.
yeah, it's probably fair, but it really bummed me out. So
It did me well in the last little RTT that we were in.
yeah.
But it's it's definitely not something I would say that would be on par against, well, with this list, right? So
Yeah, this list and this one is a one drop, you know, which is I'm just a scumbag for that. But
no,
uh
that's the only way you got to play it.
yeah, like I Matt, you kind of hit it on the head. It's got like a lot of movement tricks and just a lot of upfront firepower, you
Yeah.
know. So you know, it is. I wanted to bring a list that was a curveball. I wanted to people to have to like double take and be like, "What are you playing?" But I feel like maybe that's happening more and more. So
It's definitely a hard puzzle to solve, right? Like
yeah,
I'm not sure. Like I can tell you what it does, but that doesn't mean I know how to deal with it in a given scenario.
yeah. One other thing, just if we do play, just so, or if you ever play against Slink, it's not really a gotcha. It gets to strike first if it's near the claw pack, and then after it strikes, it gets to retreat away from you. So it can be kind of annoying to like tie something up where it'll fight and punch you, and then get away.
I think the more like the gotcha thing with Slink is just being able to teleport 6 away because everyone is so used to setting up 9-inch screens.
Yeah, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
him and the claw pack. Uh, Yeah. Another thing people forget is that him and the whole claw pack, all of their attacks, melee and ranged, are 6s or D3 mortals. So it can be like a lot of mortals from Slink in his pack.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
excited those models are getting released independently. Very excited.
They are so good. Like some
Yeah.
of my favorite sculpts I've seen. Yeah. But I'm just borrowing this army from a buddy because I was like, let's play some rats.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. I want to hear how it goes.
So speaking of dirty one drops, where that roll-off roll will matter, or you can talk about that.
Right. Okay. Yes. So you are taking Purple Haze, Lurid Haze, Slanesh here.
Yep.
Is there a hero above Sigvald?
No, there's not.
Okay, nice. Okay, so just Sigvald and the Shard Speaker. So lightening up on the heroes. Got all of the Blizzbarb archers you could hope
many
for.
Archers, dude.
Yeah.
It's so
It's actually
many.
just because you hate yourself and wanted to build that many of that model.
Did you
Right.
really? You really built all of those?
Oh yeah, I run this. So I ran this for a couple events, except I ran multiple bigger. I ran the Epitome and Purple Sun, and I ran the Chariot Hero, and so I didn't have the Dragon Ogres. But I've run the 50 archers for a couple events.
Yeah.
I thought you were only running 30. It somehow slipped my mind.
Oh, I ran 30 at Dark Tower.
Okay. I am still just traumatized from putting 2 of those boxes together. You have really embraced Slanesh, my friend.
Yep. Got to play the Kron spine that you have been tied to there.
I didn't take it to my last GT.
Well, that's fair.
Are we? Is it fashionable now to like diss on the Kron spine?
It's
Not
it's
yet.
becoming fashionable. I think
Okay,
it's
cool.
becoming fashionable. I think that you know, it's gonna get. This is my remaining goodbye, right? Because I did the goodbye to Legion, did the
Mhm.
goodbye to Zinch, and now this is the goodbye to the Incarnate because I think it's gonna get impacted by the next War Scroll. Mike.
I
Yeah.
will be quite happy about that, and then we can see some variation.
But Slanesh is its true home. Like Slanesh goes really well with the Incarnate.
Oh
So
yeah.
I have one question real
Mhm.
quick before we
Yeah.
address. Was the points adjustment on Sigvald, was that part of the battle scroll, or did they like rope that into the FAQ?
It's part of the errata.
Okay.
So it's gonna stay. The
Okay.
point adjustments, yeah, the point adjustment should stay.
Yeah, looking at your list here, I think that you actually have like multiple units that could see point increases if that's the route they choose to go.
I'm looking at you, Dragon Ogres.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we got 12 Dragon Ogres there. This one's fun because I think, you know, if I would guess, you're gonna have like big units of Dragon Ogres and Kronspine kind of like hanging out in the front. Sigvald and a unit of archers would likely, if you're lucky, are gonna Lurid Haze in together. So like outflank or deep strike, to have them in an opportune spot. And if Sigvald, of course, ignores wards, so he's gonna go and try to like just murder something that thought it was tanky. And if he rolls a big charge, he gets more hits. That's kind of how his little gimmick works. Kronspine's just powerful. Yeah, I
You-
think you're kind of just have a bunch of. Oh, sorry to keep cutting you off, Matt.
No, you're golden. Finish your thought. Finish your thought.
Yeah, I think that the dragon ogres and the Kronspine are there to soak for a while you are blasting with archers. And I think that in typical fashion for you, you're just trying to depravity farm. So you've got a couple of things that can take wounds for some time and bleed depravity, and then you've got archers, and you like to split shots often if it makes sense. Like I'm not really killing much. I'm just going to kind of rain hell over here and farm some depravity because it adds up quick, and you're bringing on like 30 demonettes. So even though it might like appear on the surface that you're kind of thin on the board, you can immediately change that presence.
Yeah.
Either from your Fane or from the heroes, right? So you've got ways that you can go, and I guess if you don't or can't get the unit for some reason, you can bring in big models to body block, or things to like try to hit really hard. They'll try, but the summoning access that you get, similar to like Beast of Chaos, can be overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, it's a very strong summoning list.
Yeah.
I think the other thing to note is Geminids. So Geminids does a cheaper version of what Purple Sun did, because it effectively makes one target. Like you can't use all defense against it, which is sort of like Friend One on the archers.
Yeah, only for the shooting phase.
Right.
Yeah.
But for the archers.
Yeah.
And it can also tick on all of my own blocks to do damage to them to depravity farm like Burning Head did. And so I've collapsed Burning Head and Purple Sun, which now is 110 points into Geminids. And so where all the like additional bodies come from is the collapse of the endless spells, and they're really trimming down to the heroes to just be more bodies.
Right. And did you go with 2 units of 6 for like coalition purposes and to stay within the 1 drop?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And I
units appreciate. Go ahead. What?
Units of 3 are if you're gonna try and milk the
Tank with them.
wounds as much as you can, right, to get those summoning.
But I appreciate you giving me some tips on how to play it, because I haven't actually played it.
Oh, you haven't used them?
No, I haven't played I've used all the units individually. I've played Dragon Ogre since Slanesh.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it, but I haven't actually had a chance to test it.
Dragon
Okay.
Ogre
I've
should be interesting.
literally never played Skaven a single game with them.
You haven't
so-
played this crazy list you're gonna take to the event?
No, God, no. I hadn't played a test game with the Beast of Chaos list either.
I gotta ask, Matt.
Mhm.
What are you using to keep that that wizard alive? Like, are you just banking on getting the spell right away, or getting first turn so you can get your spell off for your +1 to save and then all out defense? So I feel like
You
unless
kill that
you're
wizard, that's fine.
okay,
That's
so
down-
you
why do I care if you kill that wizard? My incarnate just got run in charge and +1 to hit.
just want to
And I'll
make
just summon
sure.
another wizard.
Just want to make sure.
That's really the shtick. Like there's a Geminids there, right? You're like, oh, so you keep the wizard alive. It's the only one that casts the Geminids. I could make more wizards.
There we go. So there you go, everybody. That's how.
He can make more wizards. folks.
That's why Kronstein.
The only thing I was wondering at the end there,
Oh, yeah.
Beasley, is do you have like a turn 1 delivery method to put Geminids like at the stuff you want to shoot, or is it
No.
gonna? Okay, it's just gonna be for subsequent.
Unless they come up into me, right? Like
Right.
if my opponent stays back, no, there's nothing to cheat the Geminids range.
Okay.
Yeah. And it really, I think that the turn 1 delivery method is to cast it through 3 units of archers and 2 units of dragon ogres.
Yeah. So Dragon Ogres will just shrug whatever they take.
Okay, and then maybe just try like on their turn to unbind it yourself so that you
Right.
can throw it again. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because then you could just get 5 depravity.
Well, or no, you make them unbind it, because if they don't unbind it, you tick it through your own stuff again.
I see. Yeah, or
They
move it
buy
onto
more
their.
depravity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that your opponent has a pretty huge, it's good on both sides of the board. And so I think again, not having played it, my general perspective is if it's alive and ticking on stuff, whether it's mine or theirs, it's still very useful.
hmm
Now you're not getting the extra movement, are you? So
For
you're
what?
not getting the hero face movement on the Dragon Ogres. because it's an allegiance ability, a beast of
No,
chaos.
but they're not an aggressive piece. They're the replacement for the Centaur. Like they're the chaff, they're the grinder, they're the bodies.
Yeah, they're definitely a tank.
And
I
what
just find
loadout
that
did you take
interesting.
on them? The 6 weapons?
No, the red one, just because I don't like to, it's easier to finagle the range with all 6.
Oh, the
Yep.
ones that have 2-inch range.
2-inch,
Yeah, I know that
one
you can
rand,
split it,
4
and
Oh
attack
yeah,
speed.
that's what I played too, and it's
Okay.
good because that's what mine are all modeled as. So you're
Oh,
welcome.
good.
Yeah.
Well,
Fuzzy
it's
wig there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would that's what I would do anyways.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to playing it, and I was really bummed about not being able to play Tzeentch, and I was like, there's nothing I want to play. And I was like, I can put Dragon Ogre since the mesh. I can take out all the characters. Who needs characters?
Right. Screw these guys.
Dragon ogres are the best.
You kept Sigvald though. I really
Well,
want to
I mean,
play Sigvald
obviously.
in my Nurgle list.
I
Oh,
think
that sounds
Sigvald is
mean.
mediocre without Lurid Haze, though.
I don't know. I think he's stronger than 2 Beasts in Nurgle. He's slightly cheaper.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
Regardless, he'll sink a lot more points of attacks that would go
Mhm.
into everything else. So
Right. Right.
Yeah.
All right. This is
Oh my
Kangi's
God.
list. It's so gross. Yeah. At least he dropped the Kron spine. I can't even say it with a straight face. It's so gross. These salamanders. Oh my goodness. And they're gonna get to deep strike. Because he's playing Dracothian's Tail.
and
He's got Celos
doing-
and Prime as well. So yeah, this is kind of a gross thing with Prime and the Temple, and Comet's Call. He's got a lot of spread of like piecemeal mortals, and so if you stay together, it's going to hurt you even more. So you're kind of inclined to like spread out. However, if you spread out enough, then the Salamanders just capitalize on that. So it's tough. He's still rocking Purple Sun because why not?
Yeah, I just fought an iteration of this list from him. An iteration, and yeah, early on, that's when that's the chance that you have is early on. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I probably, just to make some slight changes to Kangi's list, I probably would have added in a 4th unit of reinforced salamanders.
'Cause why not?
Yeah, because who cares? Just do it. I don't know what you would have to cut, but just cut it. Like, I don't know.
You remember
Yeah,
when those came out, they were 80 points instead of 140.
Oh yeah, I remember
constantly
everybody
reminded.
wanting to buy those.
That's really
But yeah, this list, a lot of what's happening is going to come from the salamander hunting packs. They deal a boatload of damage. I think we've talked about it plenty of times. In shooting, 6s are mortals, and in melee, 6s are mortals. There's 2 of them per here, but they've got built-in bodyguards in their pack as skinks. So stuff you have to kill. They can do some fun stuff too, where maybe like you leave one skink alive and then you get to roll a bunch of dice for rally, and if you get a couple 6s, you can bring the salamanders back as the so there's some fun stuff there.
cool.
Yeah, you don't see it too often, but when you do, it's primo.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
always worth remembering too that the salamanders are just as good in combat as they are shooting. So if you thought you could get through in combat, it's not going to help.
And
Yeah.
oddly good saves.
Yeah,
They do.
Oddly good saves.
Yep, and they have the lovely skink keyword, best keyword in the game. And just for fun, because Kangi likes to have fun, after you kill some of these salamanders, he'll have ones that he can summon with the summoning points that he's going to get throughout the game. So it's going to be good fun all around.
yeah. Just so you know, you're having fun. He wants to bring them back.
Right. And
It's-
of course,
it's a good
the
list.
Saurus guard there to bodyguard for the Slann.
Yep.
Yeah, I would just be aware of a lot of area mortals, and then just very strong firepower and pointed power with those salamander packs. If you are able to absorb the brunt of those salamander packs and like deal with 2 or all 3 of them in one turn, if you're given that opportunity and you can do it, that's going to be really advantageous. Of course, it's a lot of his points, but they, even though they do have a decent save, they are fragile to mortals, and they can start to cave pretty quickly.
Yeah,
In
and
some
he's
ways,
got
it sets up a similar issue to yours, in that, like, in the same way the horror ghast with a bunch of movement sets up a problem. Kangi has a ton of moving teleports, and that interacts well with the Prime because if you castle to block the threat angles of the salamanders from their teleports, then it sets up the Prime to do a lot of damage into the middle of that castle.
Right. Yeah. That coupled with the tower with their terrain piece, such a good terrain piece.
Yeah,
So-
I was gonna say, don't forget that there are probably gonna be lizards in the wizard tower. So
Mhm.
Oh, sure, but like you can not castle in the middle of terrain, but you can't like you're gonna get hit by that some. Like, but like I'm saying, if you're picking a point and then trying to make sure that whatever is in the middle of your castle, all of your little squishy characters are out of salamander teleport range, they all of a sudden all become a great target for the Prime to hit together.
yep,
Right.
yeah.
That is deeply annoying, Matt. Just don't want to be clear about that.
Right. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I scared him. Just
That's
a little
good.
bit.
That's good.
Just get in his face turn one.
But it is worth remembering that this is the Masters, so even when you're 0-3 going into day 2,
Yeah.
know that your next match is going to be as hard as the last 3 were. So something to look forward to.
But hopefully, and most assuredly, just as fun.
Yes, indeed. Who do we have here?
This is it is Matthew Seaman.
Okay,
Who-
I'm not as
who-
familiar with this person.
Yeah. Me either.
Ooh, okay.
Where did he qualify from? I'm really curious now.
I'm gonna speculate that it's an East Side qualifier.
I think that sounds right. I'm gonna look it up.
The name is super familiar.
Looking at the list quickly though, while we
Yeah, go ahead. You could look at the list, so we're not like,
Okay.
there.
So Knight Draconis as the general, which tells me there's going to be some dragons usually. Then you got the
Dragon.
Knight Incanter and the Lord Relictor. So you got the Translocate and the Knight Incanter for the auto unbind once per game. It's really good because even things that you're like, oh, I'm for sure getting this off. They're just like, nope, you're not having that right now. And sometimes. Now, it depends on how you build the army, and I've tried to explain this to people to justify the Knight Incanter. Sometimes you only need one unbind, but it's only one. It's like, but sometimes I only just need to stop you that one time. I just need to slow down your brunt enough so that you can face my full force or whatever that might be. So there's the auto unbind on the Incanter is great. He has a unit of Liberators, pretty standard, a unit of 2 dragons, and then I think that's 15 Vindictors in that unit. I think 390 is 15 double reinforced Vindictors there. Is he playing? No, he's playing Scions of the Storm. Okay, so he's not doing the one that. It's interesting. He's not playing the one that they deal mortals when they're charged or on objectives, but he's just playing a big old grip of try and move me Vindictor battle line.
Yeah, that should be interesting to see.
Yeah, they are in bounty hunters, I guess. So maybe he's really digging the output on those models. Do they have 2-inch reach on those spears?
I believe they do. Yeah.
Oh well, they'd be Galley Vet.
They'd be Galley
So they have that perk there. 2 units of the long strikes again. I imagine with the long strike shooting. I'll tell you, I'm much happier seeing this. Like 2 units of 3 long strikes, and one of them once per game gets to shoot an extra time. Much more fair.
Yeah.
But I do think in Stormcast defense, the Dragons and their current state could stand to come down a little bit in points. They were beat into the ground. So
Dragons?
could-
Dragons are fine. That's reasonably.
give
I
them
think
like
they're actually
320.
okay.
Just
I
give them
think
a
they're-
couple more points off.
I think they're okay.
In lists where I really want them, I would still take them. Like in Cities list, where I'm like, now I want dragons in this list. Like I'm still going to take them.
Right. The nice thing is that like 20 points sometimes can not in this list necessarily, but it helps with some breakpoint differentials. So
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that, if you were to quote unquote spam them, you might get enough points to add in like a Gur Battle Mage or a Rune Lord or something, to just spruce it up a tiny bit is what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, though, I think their nerf was okay. I mean, look at Slanesh. Uh, so
Wait, I
like,
don't understand. Oh, you
Yeah.
mean the nerf to Slanesh?
yeah,
You're saying in the
so
grand scheme of things, there have been nerfs that were more overdone.
yeah, so
Oh
I
man.
think they're okay. I think they're okay.
So you were right about East. Matthew is a member of Goon Squad, and
Mm,
they've come out to a number of events. I don't know where they play out of, but
Is this the guy, the gentleman that came up to Bellingham?
he was at Bellingham, he was at Boise. And
Okay,
he was
I
at,
remember him. Yeah, he was a nice guy. He sat with us a bunch. He was a nice guy.
oh nice.
Yeah.
He was at Haven as well.
Okay, sweet. Those two make more sense to me. But yeah, Bellingham was probably a hike for him. But I'm glad he's coming back for Bremerton.
Do you know
So
where Goon Squad plays
I,
from?
I want to say that's
probably
over
Spokane.
like yeah, Spokane or the Pullman Moscow crew
Interesting.
because they have
Okay.
the Mama's Boys over there too. I thought Goon Squad was over in that area, but I to be
He
fair,
went
I
to
don't know.
Gamer Save. Oh, Gamer Save and RTT makes sense because that's
Right? Yeah, I know he.
in
Yeah, and
Spokane,
same
got it.
with the Idaho one, right? Because it would have been. Well, who knows? Idaho's big, and I'm ignorant, so.
I
okay.
do
got
like
it.
the Radnex gnashing jaws in here as
Oh,
well.
yeah, I love
It's nice to
Jaws.
see that coming out now.
Is it?
I love the model. I love
Yeah.
the model.
I don't like that spell.
I feel like the within the spells, we're just gonna go through. Okay, what's the next one that's underpriced? Okay,
Well,
cool. Let's use that one. Okay, what's the
I
next
think
one?
my
that's
issue with
underpriced?
it, it's a good choice. I don't like how random it is.
Yeah, that is a
Like-
little much.
Like it's very feast or famine. And I played a game against Robbie on TTS where like it's funny because it either gets to you or it doesn't. And if it gets to you, it also hits really hard. And like he rolled like a 15 and a 13 twice with it. I was like, oh my. Anyway, it's just very highly variable. I want
Yeah, I was doing that
I don't
at
want
your
dice.
event.
I don't want dice in my dice game, man.
Right. I was using Hailstorm, right, to have their move characteristic and then hit even harder. And a couple of times I rolled like a 15 or a 16, and then I rolled a 1 for the damage. So
Yeah.
That's exactly why I don't play cockatrice.
yeah, I mean it was gross. Sometimes I was like, oh, this is gonna be like 14 mortals, here we go, and then 1. Like
Yeah.
it's more than once it happened.
That's even more randomization.
I know, yeah, but it's great, you know. That's why we're all here.
We got
All right. Now
Matthias?
Matthias, go ahead.
Mateus. Sorry.
Matthias, sorry, Matthias. I was correct.
So
Matthias-
I think this is just running it back with the Kippers list, right?
It does look like the Kippers list, and he said today that he submitted the wrong list, but it looks just
Yeah,
like
because
the
I
Kippers
thought,
list.
I mean, I don't want to give away secrets, but I thought he had mentioned that he was actually going to change up the list and drop the Kronspine in favor of something else. But then when I saw this, I was like, oh, well, I mean, it makes sense to just run back. It's just easy to copy paste and it's all backed up and ready to go. Like I figured maybe he called an audible.
1 week later.
Yeah. It's really good. You know, it's got Thankful, similar to what we talked about for my list. However, he did take 2 of the melee weapon and 2 of the ranged weapon, so that's an
Mhm.
interesting difference there. He's got the
Well,
Warp
interesting.
Gnaw Vermin Lord. That's the Forge World Vermin Lord.
It's
Big chunky model.
just
Yep.
very efficient. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't do the special stuff with the other Vermin Lords, but it's like
Well, and it's super
Boom.
cheap.
good.
It's like
save,
one of the
cheap.
cheapest.
Well,
lot of
and it's
damage.
got a built-in deep strike out of a gnaw hole, which is really great. So it can start in reserve. It is your general, so it's risky to do that. I will say though, in this instance, because you would forego the point. And Skaven do not have a War Master. It would be sacrilegious to say that anyone else could lead their army apparently. So that is something to consider. However, if Flaming Weapon goes off because he's taking Devious Adversary, kind of like how I said with my Arch Warlock, he actually has 6 attacks that are 6 damage each. So
Yep.
it is like quite feast or famine there. But it is really gross. He is a 2-cast wizard with the 5-up ward. He gets the Vermin Lord treatment, but for just such a discounted price.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
looked at this and I'm like, I don't understand why this model is this cheap.
Yeah, it's crazy. when everything else Forge World is like dumb overpriced by 20% for no reason.
It
This
makes no
one's like
sense. This model is like
30% too
ridiculously
cheap, you know? Like I could see
Yeah.
this being like the cheapest of the Vermin Lords, maybe at 340. Because I think the Corruptor is like 360. So you could have him at 330 or 340. But yeah, 275 is just, he's so good. And it's a cool looking model too.
I
And
just had the best list idea ever.
okay, pause for 1 second.
Okay.
One thing that's worth considering is this Vermin Lord also is on the smaller base. It's on the Thanquol size base. So, and because it's a caster, he can ride the boat. So
Yeah.
just keep that in
And ride
mind.
the boat.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the
okay.
big draws for him.
Yep.
Too. The other thing is he's got lower wounds, right? So, I mean, like,
Does
he's-
he? 12?
yeah, he's got 12 instead of 13. So, yeah.
What if, just what if you dropped Thankful,
Mhm.
right? And let's see, 1 sec. Hold on.
You don't want to get lost in this rabbit hole.
I do, I
Matt
really
knows.
do. All right,
Dude, Skaven is like,
you drop the Incarnate,
Okay.
I'm
You
fine with
drop-
that. Let's go. I
you
like it.
drop
Drop the
2 Warp
incarnate.
Lightning Cannons,
Just drop
and you
them all.
add 4 more Warp Not Vermin Lords.
Yeah.
You're really
Okay.
good at their points.
All right.
It's not bad. I think that that you do lack the diminishing returns. I think in talking with Mateus a bit and in my realization, what's really good, what's really actually being highlighted is how powerful the command tray and artifacts are. And
Yeah.
so this one being the cheapest recipient that could also be bounded to the Kron spine in this instance, I think is what gives it the oomph that really like pushes it over the edge. I do think there are lists where you can include him as like a third Vermin Lord or like a second Vermin Lord to complement a Thanquol and a Deceiver or something, or a Thanquol and a Corruptor perhaps, and then have him because he actually kind of fits some nice points there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if you'd want to run too many because yeah, I mean, I support you because I'm a crazy person, but I don't actually think it's going to pay off because he doesn't actually have that good of it's the one melee attack and it's going to be 4 attacks. And yeah, sure, they're 5 damage at top bracket, but
Those can be shut down.
yeah,
I mean, if you're going
they're
up
gonna
against
be.
my Black Knight list, like he's not gonna get through at all.
Yeah.
So like
Well, the first one, but what about the other 4?
I mean, go ahead and try.
I
let's try
commend
it.
you for trying. We
Let's try it.
should for science
Yeah.
we should do it, but that's
Yeah.
another day.
But really, this kind of speaks to like Devious Adversary is almost an auto take. It's in all of my Rat Jutsu lists. So like there's no reason not to take it. It's such a good command trait.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt, you should go into that book because it's
God.
super fun and it's more Zinchi than the new Zinch book, I think.
It is kind of more Zinchi than the new Zinchi.
And to make
so-
matters even worse, you can spend a boatload of money and only have like 8 gutter runners. You're like, I spent $300. I'm not sure how I only have 8 of these.
Yeah, welcome to me assembling an entirely only Eshin list. That is my
Yeah.
life now.
And
Yeah.
you're using all G-Dub models for it?
No, hell no.
Okay.
What do you think? I'm insane?
So that's what I was
Yes,
gonna
yes.
play. It was 35. Yeah, my buddy has 35 metal gutter runners, and it was gonna be 15 plague sensor bears, 20 night runners, and then Slink, Deceiver, Deathmaster.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on Slink. Mine is 2 Deceivers and a Deathmaster, and then 60 Night Runners, and then 30 Gunner Runners. I think something around there.
I do think
Just
this is a really
insane.
fun. Just like the
So
movement
dumb.
shenanigans. You're right. It is a little more Zinchi than Zinchi.
Yeah,
Like,
I think you would
yeah.
really like it. And the cool thing with the night runners is they have the pregame move, and then you have the gutter runners who can drop in reserve. So what I was doing is I was putting like 2 5-man packs as the battle line, and then maxing out the other stuff because then I had 2 to like turn 1 barge almost at all times because
Right.
I can guarantee it almost with a Nahol placement. So
Right.
yeah, I think you would probably really dig it, Matt.
I probably would.
but
I'm
it
like,
is a mental trap because we didn't mention it, but there are no sub factions because it's all
Yeah.
just you just get bonuses for different heroes that you're taking, and so you're like inclined to soup stuff in, and then like the points just don't work, and so
Or they do, but then you have this entire list that you didn't even start. Like
yeah.
you started with an idea, and then all of a sudden you're
Yeah.
down a completely
And
different
that's
path.
why I
So
submitted the list that I did. Somehow I was
it's
on.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right.
Skaven's been a lot of fun.
One last thing here, he's got the 3 cannons and those and the guy to overload them, so it could be 3 instances of like potentially 12 mortal wounds each.
Yep.
They do have a chance to blow themselves up, but they can just be like a heroic amount of mortal output that's a lot more reliable than the cockatrice, but it's got self-punishment for doing it.
all right.
Yeah, Skaven are so fun. We're gonna fall down that rabbit hole if we have another list here
I know.
from Skaven.
Okay, Phil's playing KO. He's doing no port. I did clarify that with him.
Oh, nice.
And I don't play KO, so I'm sure that it matters, and I'm sure it had to do with like an artifact choice or something getting locked in, or a command trait perhaps. So it looks like he is boat heavy, right? Can you scroll down and
Yeah.
Yeah,
two
so
gun
he's got the
haulers?
chemist, the navigator.
okay, yeah, ironclad, frigate, gun hauler. It's a double battle reg. Got the basic battle line, so you're gonna do they've got battle tactics in the book that are like have 3 dudes hop out of a boat.
They
And then
have the best. They have the
have
best in the
3
game.
dudes hop back in a boat. So
It's so good.
yeah.
It's so good. Their
The
battle
White
textures.
Dwarf update for them is pretty cool. They've got a lot of weird rules that are gonna like stack. Then they're gonna like use them all. They're like resource management in a way.
Very Luminethy in a way, actually.
Yeah, just
if you want
not
to think
like,
about it that way.
Yeah,
brain
it'll play
melting.
like basically a moving castle, right? Like
Mhm.
it's all the boats flop over to one side of the board.
Yeah, and
you
until
spread
you
that
deal
board.
enough damage to the big boats, they can carry the small boats with them and do the fly high ability to just lift up and be anywhere outside of 9. So they kind of can be where they want to be. There's not a lot of like keeping away from them for the
Yeah.
most part.
The really fun thing, if you get it, you should just walk up to the TO and say you've won the tournament. Is if you completely surround one of these with all of their army in it, all the guys pretty much inside will die. So just do that, then go tell your TO that you've won the tournament. You're the master of life. That's the best part about fighting against them. The worst part is getting shot.
Yeah, and I think it goes without saying it's KO. It's a lot of shooting output.
Yeah.
It is only rend 1. He's got the Rune of Petrification put in the bottle, which is a hefty amount of mortals because it can like tick twice per turn, I think. But it does also have your movement, I believe. Move and charge, maybe.
I just pulled that up because I was like, wow, that's an interesting choice. So start a movement phase, end of the movement phase. So it acts like the old Skaven spell without all the
right?
placement. 4 up, D3 mortals. And then in addition, subtract 1 from run and charge rolls for units within 6 inches. So it doesn't really affect them because once they place that down, they're just going to fly away, and that doesn't count as movement. So
right.
A lot like Warp Lightning Vortex, really.
yeah, it's pretty much Warp Lightning Vortex. Thank you. I could not remember the name of the spell.
But you don't have to have like a trigonometry degree to set it up.
I mean, it shows the angles.
But your models are literally in my way.
It's a triangle.
All right. Ricky Fisher. I bet he's playing something really OP.
Yeah,
Let's see it.
something totally new we've never seen before.
What?
And it's Troggoth.
This is so.
Is this
He has
just the same
shoot us?
list he's been playing?
What?
It's a little bit of a modification. He basically dropped one of the 6 packs of Troggoths because what was happening was the Troggoths, one of them was having to stand back on an objective anyway, and so it was rare he was able to actually use all 3 without sort of seeding objectives based on the scenario. He dropped 1 6-pack for a Chaffwinder Shootas, a cave shaman and a fast, fast sort of objective grabber unit to add a
The
little more
snarl thing.
utility to the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he basically added a little bit of each of the actually, legitimately good components of utilities that Gitz has, rather than the third Trog unit, because he was generally only able to capitalize on 2 anyway.
Right.
Was
right.
was he using shooters before? I can't remember if
I don't
those were on his
remember which
list.
event he switched to this. I think he might have done this for one event.
At the U.S. Open, he was not playing shooters.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
I think whatever his last GT was, I think he did try this. But I think it's a improvement. It definitely adds more flexibility.
Yeah, it
Yeah, and
definitely
those
looks a
snarl
little bit
thing
more
are
well
great
rounded.
for the 70 points.
And
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
beautiful
that's-
models.
Well, and that's what you're like, oh, fungoid, 95 points. That's really good for 95 points. Oh, the snarl thing. Oh, that's really good for 70 points. And then you're like, oh, it's 20 chaff. Right.
Right.
Yep.
He's adding the sort of efficient things from the Goblin book and chaff.
Right. And I think a way to think about it, at least my brain went to this, was like losing that third pack of Trogs. Probably you miss it in 1 out of 5 games, but having the utility that he's brought in, you probably actually would miss 2 out of 5 games, I would say. So like when you went throughout a normal GT experience, so as long as that one time that you would have probably preferred the 6-pack, you can compensate or play in a way to minimize that loss. That's going to be easier than trying to play the 2 games in a row where you're going to have to leave back this heavy hitter to do something that something so cheap could have done.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's also worth noting, like, he hasn't leaned into any of the sub factions, right? The White Dwarf sub factions, so he
Uh-huh.
can just bring those back after they're dead. So he's essentially got 2 units of shooters
Right.
if he rolls a 4.
On my notes here, when I was going through for Phil, I put no port, and then for Ricky, I put no shroom. So I'm excited for this.
Can you
Other
still
than
bring back
Craig
the
knows,
shooters,
boo,
even though
Craig
he
knows.
has the Trog General doesn't restrict it?
Huh?
He can bring back the Trogs because of the Trog General. He can't bring back the shooters? Or he can still bring back the shooters?
Per what I remember, it's the individual. So he would be Trog, whatever it's called, or Jaws of Mork. You can bring back Squigs, but per
No,
the way this,
the Trog boss lets him res Trogs.
Yeah.
oh, does it do that now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Didn't used to.
But
Okay.
I don't know if it's in addition to the Moon Clan or
Right,
if it
that's what I don't know
replaces.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would probably just expect, just bank on that not happening. But the Trogs do come back, and Kragnos is still just a house.
Yeah.
Hide your kids, hide your monsters.
All right. Ricky Mans.
I think Ricky's
All
playing
right.
Corn again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's got an interesting mix of demons and mortals. Going a weird, technically no bloodthirsters by technicality. However, he is playing Be'lakor, who is kind of a bloodthirster. Oh, did he cut Scarbrand as well?
Yeah. It
Yeah,
looks
okay.
like it. What's
Uh-huh.
Mighty Skull Crushers, Mighty Skull Crushers. So he's playing
Nice.
a much more straightforward bash him in the face list. It's sort of less shenanigans, more meat.
Right. However, still rocking a heavy control element of the Khorne Demon Prince and Be'lakor. So kind of a cool thing that we can point out, and it's not really going to give away strategy or anything because it's fair to put it on the table. He's got the Arcane Tome on the Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince and Be'lakor in the list. So Khorne now is a 2-caster or 2-wizard army. So Ricky's also taking 2 endless spells in here. I think it's Horrorghast and Palisade. Yep. Okay. So in deployment, what he can do is set it up so that he's got 2 little nice spots to put these endless spells, and he can set up his whole army in a little mini castle and then cast those to roll a bunch of dice on his own guys for a spell ignore to fish for 6s to try to get free blood tithe points. So it's a fun, neat trick because of the Khorne White Dwarf. When they are affected by a spell, they ignore it on a 6-up and get a free blood tithe point. So you've got a bunch of units here and these 2 endless spells that you are going to summon that aren't really going to impact you in any way, but you're just going to try to ignore their effects for free blood tithe.
It's an interesting way of getting those.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that the Skull Crushers, they can actually get to an effectively 2+ save in here with casting at least one of them.
Right.
Are they a 3-up base or a 4-up base?
4-up base, but you can do, the Mystic Shield on top of all out defense.
I think these ones are
which-
3 at base. These are the mortal ones.
Yeah, Mighty Skull
Yeah,
Crushers.
aren't they?
I think
they
they're
were
a 3 at base.
Yep.
And then if
Then
you
they're a
scroll
2-up
up,
easy.
yeah, because he's gonna have Mystic Shield as an option, but if he still has multiple Slaughter Priests, they give like a +1 save too, don't they?
Do they?
I
I thought
didn't
there was
think they
another
did.
way. Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy.
Hey man, I'm the one mixing up the actual unit names. So
Yeah, I like the 6 blocks of Skull Crushers. That's how many
Yeah.
wounds are there? 5?
Yeah, they're 30 wounds.
I mean, so this is basically probably Dragon Ogres that do more damage for 80 more points.
Yeah,
Yep.
Dragon Ogres plus,
Oh, actually, in the 3-up save, right? So
yeah.
yeah, they're bigger Dragon Ogres.
The nice thing too is while they're in a bigger unit like this, they have a better chance to deal their crashing mortals as well.
Yep, and that's good. The Mortals on the Charge, they're aggressive, super aggressive, but still only -1 rend if I remember correctly. So
Yeah. Another thing, the final note I'll say for these guys is when you're playing against them at the beginning of either hero phase, they can spend their Blood Tithe and do some effects, which can be fight you or charge you or move. So there can be a little bit of a gotcha element, and Khorne no longer deplete the whole pool of Blood Tithe.
finally,
Yeah. It was a really, really nice buff.
yeah, it was needed. It's so weird because Khorne is in such a strange spot where they can like steamroll because they're such a good what do you call it? Everything has to work together in a Khorne army to work well. But which is kind of, I remember when the book first came out, it's like, what? Why? I thought they all just wanted to go kill stuff.
Right.
But it turns out they all work together. They're little blood commies. And the all of this comes together in really fun ways. So it's always fun seeing a new Khorne list because there's so many different ways to kind of like use it. It's very much tacticians, subtle tactician's dream.
Yeah, and what's cool about this is, if let's say like Ricky gets to go first or is given the first turn, he's got full units there to maximize, and so I think he's probably in this got something like 10 or 11 units. Maybe he gets up to 12 because I've theory crafted a lots of different lists with him and we've messed with that variation of numbers. But you get to roll about 20 dice if everything happens for you, looking for sixes. And if that can give you like 3 or 4 Blood Tithe early, that's really big. It's really huge for like no drawback really, other than then you just kind of like move out a little bit, and then you have Be'lakor and the Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince to really control that element with just like oomph, and then screens that you want to die to get more Blood Tithe. So
yeah, that's like a great way to shut down Comet's Call, right? Right out of the gate, or something like that. Outside of all the other amazing stuff that they have to shut down magic. But
yeah, this is definitely a fun Khorne. I think there's been some like European people doing lists similar to this when the White Dwarf came out.
I feel like this is going to be another last hurrah. We may get the new Slaves to Darkness book
Probably so.
Well, not before the Hakwam GT, but yeah, maybe that's probably a last hurrah for this whole Khorne Demon Prince. I'll be happy, but sad.
Yeah, right. I know. I think Bear's playing the same Bone Splitters list from your event, Beasley. Double Wargog Prophet, Savage Big Boss. You know what? I think it's fair to say he probably had me if he didn't misplay his general and his Kronspine. I was able to really, I made a big mistake that he capitalized on like right away. And the only reason I ended up winning is because he made an even like larger blunder that I was able to capitalize on. But
You killed this general while the Incarnate was in range of a unit or something?
I killed the thing I was bound to while while it was stuck in, and then force it to stay in combat with his general. And it had been Bellacord the turn before, so it was on the back wall again, having to kill his general to escape combat.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still so excited about this list.
Yeah, it's really cool. And my blunder into it was I moved up, because he pregame moves half of his stuff. He kind of welcomes you to charge, and that's about the point of the board where I want to be at with that Beast of Chaos army. So I put a bunch of the Dragon Ogres into the guys, because I'm like, okay, I just want to force the wall here. I knew I wanted to bait that out, and I wanted to get damage, but I actually kind of whiffed on the cockatrice shots and didn't kill nearly as many big stabbers as I needed to, and then still put the Dragon Ogres in, and so I was able to do a good amount, but like they get like a 3 or a 4 up ward with the wall for one combat phase only.
Yep.
But sometimes that's all they need to really kind of swing things back in their favor. So yeah, that was a tricky part. But really, what I did was I put my unit of 6 Dragon Ogres, the one that I was playing, right in range of the Wargog Prophet. I thought it was wholly 12, but it was actually within 12, and so my 30 wound block of Dragon Ogres just immediately evaporated. I think he took 1 or 2 wounds.
Yeah. I'm so glad to see this list. My next one is going to be all boar boys because cavalry. So
Yeah, that sounds fun too.
yeah. Not as good.
I really tried to browbeat Bear into playing the like 12 or 13 units of big stabbers, because I was like, dude, full stab, bro. But he apparently came to his senses, which is dumb, but I guess
dumb, but getting him up to the podium where the big boys play. So
right, yeah, and he played it really well. I think it was just a slight mistake, and it wouldn't have been that big of a deal if his stare wouldn't have hurt him back so much. That was kind of the real mistake, was that he chose to stare with the second prophet who was not rolling hot. So
them's the dice.
Yep. Really good list. So the pregame move is something to not be overlooked, because he's got so many units here. It ends up being like 6 or 7 units get the pregame move 8 or 9 inches up the board. He's just got like a wall in your face that can have a 3 up ward on, or is 3 or 4 up?
I believe it's 4 up.
4 up. Okay.
Is it just in melee? The walk?
Yeah, it's just in
It's
melee.
only during combat. Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, if
So
that
that's
were for
why when
shooting.
yeah, exactly. That's why when I went to go execute against him, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to spread out these cockatrice shots into these few units of stabbas that you've screened me
Right.
with, but I just didn't really get as many as I would have liked. And then
Okay.
I should have committed harder and just taken out the units of 2 instead of trying to sprinkle. And then I still charged in with stuff, and they hit hard.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
and like
Oh, you also get no ward save against this army, by the way,
Yeah, which is
with
huge.
melee attacks only.
the cockatrice damage shouldn't do that much to Stabos, right? Like, it's good against elite stuff, but Stabos are 10 points a wound.
But I just like at least in that scenario, what I was thinking was that my 6 stabbas were likely going to kill the 2 or 3 units that he pregame moved with. And then I was going to have like 9 or 12 Dragon Ogres that, even with that 4 up ward, would likely kill a unit of 10 or cripple 2 units of 10 of the Savage Orcs. But I whiffed on a lot of the cockatrice shots. So I was only able to kill like 3 individual stabbas total across units. And
That's what I was asking. Isn't that right? Because like 6 cockatrices should do 10.5 mortals.
Yeah, I suppose. But honestly, when I don't really think about it in averages with the cockatrices, because
Yeah,
it's just there's too many variables there for me to
it's like asking a chimera to make a 7-inch charge. It's just never going to happen the way
Yeah.
you think it's
You're
going to
right.
happen.
So they're gigantic spreads. They're like, I can say that's the average, but the standard deviation is massively high, because first you're rolling the 4 up and then you're rolling the d6s. And so
Yeah.
you
Right.
usually had them do a ton or very little.
And then
Got it, okay.
the unit of, or the couple of units of the Boar Boy Maniacs actually have like a pretty aggressive amount of attacks. And I think he's got those in Bounty Hunters. Yeah, he's still doing that. So into the right unit, they're actually like a really powerful hit. And because of that volume of attacks between their attacks and the pigs, like you not being able to have wards is actually pretty big.
Yeah.
Big fan. It's lots of fun. It's cool to see the greenskins played.
They'll like this because Sigvald likes his ward save.
Yeah, right. I know, but you don't get it.
I don't get
But again, only in melee.
only in melee.
Yeah.
Which means
It
they
might
need
be
to
in
get
sh-
there.
I
So
forget.
don't go up against that Lumineth list.
Right. Top tier trash. This is Stark. Okay. It is top tier trash. I agree. It's an apt name for this list. Okay, so he's playing a really juiced up Engine of the Gods, like a do everything you can Engine of the Gods, so that Croak can cast through it, and it can. So it's a caster, it's a priest, it can summon.
Yep.
It's insane. You've got the Astrolith Bearer there to wield your Fusel of Conflagration that's required for Thunder Lizards, and to increase the casting range by 6, which does count for endless spells if he's got the Horrorghast and the Sun, which are the ones that I would expect there.
Yep.
Yeah, Croak's just got a lot of spread mortals. What we talked about earlier with Kangi's list, but just like multiplied, because Croak has just got some Emperor style lightning blast that just keeps coming at you. He is playing the Kronspine. And that's bound, I think, to the Engine of the Gods, right?
Highlighting, yeah.
Yep. So
One
yeah,
more buff.
yeah,
Your
that
stamp
Engine of the
trait,
Gods
your
can hurt.
artifact, your
Yeah,
mount trait, your spell, your prayer, and your bond.
right.
Like
Do
you
you think that unit gets addressed in the battle scroll?
the Engine of the Gods?
Yeah.
No, Seraphon is fine.
Yeah, I think it skates right through. The Skink Priest, of course, he is rocking the Kronspine, courtesy of me. I'm gonna let him borrow that. He's got the Bastillodon because he is Thunder Lizard. So if and when you can get the skink buff on him, it's a really beefed up Bastillodon's like 9 shots on 3s and 2s, damage 3 against demons, but we haven't seen too many demons, but there are some. And then double tapping that sometimes is better than the engine, and you can just get a boatload of 2 damage attacks shot out with the Bastillodon every turn. And then of course still playing Horrorghast and Purple Sun. Even with the point increase, the Purple Sun is still pretty good for him here because he gets it out pretty reliably. And I think you're fine just like being obnoxious and just still trying to kill stuff, because the shooting is the rend minus isn't a huge deal here. I think he's more so just trying to be obnoxious and kill stuff.
The Ren minus is useful for the Bastillodon because it's often going to be
okay. Yeah.
18 shots on 3s and 3s, rend 1 damage 2, and that second point of rend, it's a significant source of your damage, and that Dwayne one is a bit of downfall for it. I think it's an older war scroll. I'm glad it's rend 1 because the book needs a rewrite, but it definitely sort of hasn't kept up with the power creep as far as the rend value on it.
Well,
That's
in all
true.
honesty, if it were made rend 2 naturally and could still shoot multiple times in one turn, I don't know.
It'd be 400 points.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be.
Well, I think that's
exactly what
that's
they're
right. It
looking
might be more points. I'm just saying, like, it's an old book rend value, and I'm not saying that's bad because it's an old book. It also has a lot of crazy powerful shit in it.
Right, and to be fair, the
Not bad.
Bastillodon with Solar Engine was good before they changed Kronspine. I mean, it was good without the Kronspine as well. So I agree. Given that minus save is still definitely worth mentioning there. It's funny that that these armies have gone like such min battle line. These 2 Seraphon armies, like just the most minimum battle line you can, because you've just got like heroes and artillery just coming in hot.
Well, when you've got that kill the battle line, kill the Gallivet grand strat, it feels pretty easy if people don't take Gallivets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do got to give him 2 points there. It's really interesting to see Horrorghast starting to show up in almost every list that
It's
we've
really
had up here,
powerful.
which
Yeah.
is really cool. And then also, I got to hand it to him for calling out his list being what it is. I love it. So I love the title of the list.
So Beasley, just my no place
Good
for the
job,
week
Stark.
is complete if there are no battle line from your opponent starting. So
Oh,
they don't have to be galley vet.
they don't have to be galley vets. And then did you say starting army?
Yes.
Oh, boo.
Yes. So it does have that extra wording there, but
Yeah, that's unfortunate because I would like to just summon demonettes around that.
I know. Get out of here with your garbage. Leave your trash demons at home.
I'm excited. I'm glad you're
In.
playing Slanesh and making everybody who wants to play their Slanesh feel terrified of playing their Slanesh because they'd have to be up against you.
Okay, this is Stephen Newberry, right? Bloodtooth's Iron Jaws.
Oh, interesting.
So he's got a mega boss on Mock Crusher with the things you would expect. He is given the arcane tome so he can touch by the wall. So it's kind of nice. He can actually deal mortals to an enemy and then get a bonus to cast, or he can deal it to himself or a friendly and get the bonus to cast. But you can, the way it's worded, it's just mortals to something around you. So it can be an enemy. It's kind of fun. Couple of war chanters there. Interesting to see the Weird Knob Shaman get main boarded and to make the Gaia caster.
And to take the enhancement of a second cast.
Yeah.
Like, look, that must be
Yeah.
an enhancement of a second cast from Command Entourage. And to take 2 endless spells.
Yeah. And a rogue
This
idol.
is a surprising orc list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the Rogue Idol is like some of the only plus to cast that army gets in their whole book. So
Oh, I didn't even realize I had plus cast because
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's actually adding up. Two wizards for 2 endless spells, both getting the +1 to cast from the Rogue Idol. Okay. All right. You get all your brownie points back, sir. You're just
Yeah.
here to have fun, and we like that. So
crazy. What
of course, it's still got the I don't mean
Yeah.
to say that lightly. It's still got a lot of throughput with Gore Gruntras, a unit of 6 and then 2 units of 3 there. They get to do some obnoxious moving and extra piling in and extra charging. So they're quite mobile. What's he got for the mount trait? Fasten. Okay.
So let's see,
Just-
90. This is 80, 170. So really, I mean, if you think about it, the investment in all these shenanigans is 3 less pigs.
Yeah.
Right. I think that what you might see, perhaps I don't, maybe more traditional or the more successful lists. So they're trying to go like low drops. I think it's so you do, by adding in that character here, you do kind of give up a 1 drop possibility.
Yeah.
However, this list isn't doing that, but that's kind of the cutoff. I think with the 4th hero generally is you either decide to go like the multi-drop and have some conquerors and bounty hunters and the extra artifact or the extra spell lore apparently. Because normally I actually like the Rogue Idol when I'm messing with Iron Jaws because he fills out the behemoth slot to help you 1 drop.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was surprised by. I saw the Rogue Idol and I expected it to be a 1 drop.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
actually there for the casting bonus.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's honestly the only thing I look at the Rogue Idol for when I'm trying to do lists is the casting.
So it's good. This
Bonus.
is a creative, different, I haven't seen an orc list like this.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see that. A lot of the elements you're used to seeing, but with an extra twist in their hero face.
I'm curious about the Burning Head, whether or not it was just because we don't have an endless spell that's 30 points, or if there's some specific way they're going to try and use it.
Well, I mean, he could have Laoshoned the shaman, but whatever. I guess.
All right.
I think that he's like, well, I've got the 2 wizards, so I might as well play the 2 endless spells. And the Burning Head can actually deal a surprising amount of damage, especially if you have the cast to want, to want to be throwing and then to throw a Burning Head every turn. It was always nice in having it in like Sneech because you had so many casts. You like were looking for more things to cast every turn. So you had the Burning Head to be like, at least I'm gonna have this too.
Yeah, and the increased range on it now is actually super nice. Makes hurting my own Slanesh much better. But now I'm gonna have to try out the other spell there, Matt.
Oh, Geminids?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's a good idea.
very
Didn't even
good
think
for
of it.
Smash, yeah.
All right,
It's,
two more.
I mean, the double, the ticking each turn is such a huge deal there.
Yeah. And who is this?
Oh, this is Stephen Newberry.
Ah,
Corsairs.
I like it, Steven. This is pretty rad.
Yeah, he's come up to, I think, most of the events. I've played him a couple
Yeah,
times.
he was pretty close to going into round 5 undefeated as well, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Who did he play? Did he play Robbie? No.
Maybe he was undefeated going into the last round, and he lost to
That's
Chris
right.
Lemoy.
I think that's right. I think he was
Yeah.
the third 4-0 at
Uh-huh.
the Sparkle Party.
Yeah, he played very well.
All right, and we got 2 left. We've got we're actually basically good on time.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Thomas
Guan?
Guan is a hilarious addition to our Masters. So we welcome him, of course, because he committed to so many of our events. Not a local
We're
to
so grudgy. We welcome him, of course.
yeah, not a local to us in any way. I think he lives in California, but he's a nomad, if you ask me. Because he goes to all over the place to play. I love it. But he's got like what I would think of as like a super no nonsense dock list here, which is Marathi and then the Cauldron to get the 4-up rally, right? On something that can survive, and then a Kron Spine, 15 of the Stabby Snakes, and then 2 units of Witch Elves, all in a. Oh, he's got 7 drops here. Okay, gross. I thought it was a 1 drop, but I guess that can't be.
Now, one thing about this list that is a little different is like there's no bow snakes.
Right.
It's just Marathi and the Incarnate and just beaters. I kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if I like 15 melee more than 10 bow.
15 melee is just, you don't want to
15
be
melee?
stuck in combat with him afterwards. Like you want to not be in combat by the end of that, right?
Well,
Yeah, sure.
the list
Sure,
makes
sure,
you
yeah.
makes you answer like some tough questions early on, which is you're
Yep.
presented with a left, right, and middle of a Kron Spine that's not dying, a Marathi that's not dying, or these Spear Snakes that deal like a boatload of mortals to you after they fight in the hero
And-
phase and in the combat phase.
And
So
rally on a 4-up.
right. And so you've got a weird you've got some weird choices to make, and like none of them are really great, you know. And so yeah, he's just, I think it's a cool list.
It's a kick in the teeth for sure.
Yeah, you really gotta. I think that really skilled players can play around what it's trying to do, but it can very easily capitalize on your mistakes. And if the dice are not favored to you like once, then it can almost be unrecoverable. So
Yeah, I think if you drop the Kron Spine out of this and fill it in with other things, this list becomes a little bit easier to deal with. But I think that may be a Kron Spine thing, because
it's got it's just so good, right? And this has just got like maximum obnoxious factor of like the 2 things that don't die.
well, and it's funny, right? Because Marathi Kane, people have been playing against her long enough that we've figured it out, I think, for the most part. But like if outside of the Kron Spine, I'd look at this list and I'd say, okay, cool. I just need to make sure turn 1 I'm getting in, right? I need to get to them before they get to me, because an Alpha Strike will just run over this list, except for the Kron Spine. So,
Is Zainthar Kai the teleporting one?
actually, I can't
Fight on
remember.
Death.
I think that's the
Fight on
snake
Death,
ones.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that
no,
the
it's
Fight on Death?
interesting because like if you're playing against melee, it makes sense. If you're playing against shooting, like it feels like a shooting list maybe can tick both Marathi and the Kron Spine, because Marathi like doesn't take a lot of time to max, and so it should be able to both down level the Kron Spine and cap Marathi.
With a shooting list, yeah. But if you're
Yeah.
playing a melee heavy list, this is going to
It
be
just might be SOL,
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be, I think it might be a more pairing dependent version. I actually haven't played against Marathi and Kron Spine together. Like in my head, it seems fine, but I haven't actually had the experience.
Yeah,
The-
I did
the-
with Puskoils, and I just kind of locked it in place, and it's a good matchup for me there. But
Well, the one thing that you really get against that list is board control. So
Yeah.
like,
And I
you know,
just pinned it in its deployment zone.
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm a dirty scumbag.
well, I mean, that's essentially what you would have to do to beat that list in the first place, right? Alpha
Yeah, it
strike
is.
it and make
That's-
sure they can't move. So
Yeah. All right, what do we got here to round it out? Travis with Sylvaneth. Somebody's bringing Sylvaneth. That's cool. Glad to see that Travis made it. He is taking
Oh.
Oakenbrow, so he's going like
I love it.
kind of crazy. But then you see the battle line with no tree lords, like womp womp. But that's okay.
It's okay. I got you guys. I'm finishing up my last couple of tree lords, and I need
Yeah,
to get one for
he
the
said, "I'll see your 3 battle line tree lords and instead raise you 2 spirited Durthus and a tree lord ancient." So all of his graduated college together, and they are heroes in this list.
Indeed.
So basically what this means for him is that the spirits of Jersey don't bracket. So that's why he's taking that glade.
Yeah, which makes them more survivable, right? Because
Uh-huh.
nobody's going to come in late game and be like, I'm going to
Yeah.
just walk over this, right?
I would like
So-
to see the artifact that they get. It's an artifact, right? That gives them bonus hits.
I think they
Yeah,
get
he doesn't have a second. Oh, he does have a second small hero. Where is the? But he's taking Crown of Fell Bowers on the Tree Lord Ancient, which reduces the number of attacks from opponent melee profiles by 1. And then Arcane Tome on the Branch Width. I kind of like Arcane Tome and Spellsinger on the Branch Witch because it basically makes it a cheap Warsong Revenant.
yeah.
If you're only needing the utility piece of it, yes.
No, it has the same spell. It has the same bomb spell.
Oh,
well,
okay.
and the real thing here is this here, because this is basically Hero Hammer. This
Yeah.
Hero Hammer list is actually super fast, right? Because we've got 1, 2, 3 that can travel through the trees on their own, and then we have the Arch Revenant, which just moves at its flying, and then the Branch Witch, which can actually travel the trees. So you can have this whole army if you're setting up your trees correctly. Which I don't
Yeah.
see a mirror, so that's interesting.
I
You don't
saw
need a
that
mirror.
too. Yeah.
What do you mean you don't see a mirror? What mirror?
The cogs or the spell portal.
Yeah, spell
No,
porter.
You have Spellsinger.
Yeah, you do it through the tree.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. However,
no,
I
mean
would-
for early setting a tree down.
Yeah.
For that.
But you have a Tree Lord Ancient, which doesn't have a range restriction on this tree set.
That I haven't gotten into, so now
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, so you can put a tree
That's a
wherever
neat,
you
like,
want,
cheaper
and you
bomb.
can cast through it.
Yeah. However, I like to see paired with that. I know cogs are really important because like the spells are mandatory to get off, but I really like to see the Skull Root paired with the Horrorghast because they both have that similar extra stuff fleas ability, and
Yep.
so you can still shut down the Inspiring Presence. The Vengeful Skull Root does do D6 mortals as well, which is no joke. But
Yeah.
I like to combo those together. Yeah, and then the tree revs are really annoying and really powerful. Does he have those in Conquerors? Yep, that makes sense. They will be obnoxious.
Yep. 2 wounds each. It made them worth it.
And they get like a once per game all out attack or all out defense, right?
It's per phase. And the extra attack you were thinking about on Durthu was if he's wholly within the range of a tree. And that's really where
I think
was
they have an
going with this.
artifact that lets them get like D3 extra attacks.
Oh yeah, they can get that too. But you should always remember that they're going to have an extra attack by being within range of a tree.
I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing this.
Mhm.
So Travis is the guy who won painting at Sparkle Party.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing his Plume Spirited Earthus.
Oh, that's right.
Heavily converted army.
That's right. He had the Harlequin tree revenants. Those
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
40k Harlequins converted into tree revenants. That was a beautiful army.
Mhm.
It's kind of funny because this is actually the style of list that I was running right at the end of second when I was just flopping around trying to make Sylvaneth work. Where Matt was adding 400 points to a list and saying they were okay. So
It is interesting to see a unit of 5 Ghost Summit archers. I'd love to pick his brain on like the rationale there. I'm pretty familiar with what they do, and I know they have some potential to spike some good mortals. I've just always felt like a unit of 5 in a as like a toss in a lot of lists never really fit because it was so expensive. Like at 150 or 170 points, I'm more into splashing them in. Now I do think there's some merit and
That
some
is the
build.
splash. Sorry, go ahead.
Right, I know. I like it at like 170 if they were like
Oh, I
170
see.
or points or so, but at 220 it's weird. I have Sylvaneth as well, and I've not really wanted to toss in a unit of 5. I've built lists where I had like 15 or 20, like 2 units of 10 or things like that. And I like them because I'm leveraging them a little differently at that point. But I'm curious to see how 5 helps in this list that's so mobile and hero hammery. What he's
Well, so I
adding those
guess
for.
I have
I
a
think
theory.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
I think 5 might be the only way you can play them right now because one of the things John was telling me that I didn't realize was that the opponent can remove models, and you can only do the retreat if there's opponent models within 3. And so if you have a large unit and you stand and shoot, your opponent can charge where they put only the minimum number, maybe the first 2 or 3 models within 3 inches of your unit,
Mhm.
and then everything else is like 3 and a hair away. And then when you stand and shoot, they remove those first 2, and then you can't actually retreat. And so a big block of Gossamens is sort of like pseudo not actually going to do what they're supposed to do on the tin right now because of that dynamic. And a 5 block is the only thing that's not going to kill enough on the stand and shoot that you should still be able to get away.
Well,
Interesting.
and that's where I see them as just moving up with probably the Arch Revenant to keep them company, and then them becoming a screen for a Durthu.
Yeah.
That's what I see, and that's how I would probably use them. Most of my lists have been messing around with 2 of them to follow around Tree Lord Ancient, just to like have the discouragement of it, of charging them.
I
And then
love
once
the
they're
idea
in
of them.
range, stomp. And then, so
Mhm.
like I think they're one of like the here's an extra tool, for an army that has like very little fundamentals and it's all tricks. I think they're just another one that is probably going to be a very, very finesse unit to use, especially in units that small, right?
Yeah.
When you're not looking for damage, you're looking for ways to leverage survivability of other characters.
Yeah, because when I was looking at them in like groups of 15, I valued them at, okay, you're 60 points more than bow adjudicators, and your 6s are D3 mortals
Yeah.
instead of just 1. And so like, with Beasley, with your example there, that would be like a worst case scenario, because that means with your big of group of 15, you barely did any damage on the Unleash Hell, enough that they could pull minimal casualties and then still get maximum pile in efficiency with that result.
Are you saying you want to you want to have a large enough group that you're just going to off the thing that you're unleashing hell on?
Well, I mean, hopefully enough. Like that's why I was normally playing them in blocks of 10, like 2 blocks of 10 when I built lists with them. But again, I was playing them a little differently. So I just think that they're kind of expensive for
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
for
Yeah.
the value I expect to get out of them over 5 games.
And they can be difficult in the shooting mirror for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I think they're kind of more of a finesse guard, right? One of those next to a Spirit of Durthu. Are you really going to want to charge him, even if Spirit of Durthu is going to be bracketed?
Yeah.
Right. That's where I think they're the key in lists. Then again, I have not put my Sylvaneth on the table because there are a lot of rules. There are a lot of rules to just start thinking about. So
I don't really care about the rules. I'm just not super compelled to. I have a bunch of them, and I want to like them. I just am not really drawn to them currently.
as a damage unit, I think they're underwhelming, like completely underwhelming, because you're
Yeah.
fishing for 6s. And
But this is
sixes.
this is a really interesting list. I guess I didn't realize the branch witch had that same spell, so that is kind of juicy to have like a discounted explosion, and then just like the big melee threats to kind of come womp you up afterwards. And what's cool is what you were mentioning is like this list can be pretty safe, right? Because they can all be where they need to be.
Yeah, there's not a single well, there's two units in here that can't teleport in one turn.
Because the Durthu and the Durthus and the Tree Lords get to do it no matter what with their once per turn ability, right?
Yep.
Right.
And then one of the other units that can't teleport, or that don't have teleport on the war scroll can do it. Like per normal. So
And you can basically like back corner your branch witch and then put a tree right in front of them so that they're like impossible to get unless you have comment to call.
Yeah, so this list is I really kind of I hope that I wish there were streams.
I know we tried.
So I could see how this works. Because this is
not valiantly, but
this, like I said, this is almost exactly what I was running at the end of second. Sans a couple of models.
New idea, Matt. Come, we can use my phone. We'll live stream the whole thing, and you can just hold it.
Oh, where is it?
It's at Blue Sky.
Oh, it's a Blue Sky.
Mhm.
Okay, well, that's a possibility.
All right, we can
Live
figure
stream
that
to
out.
the phone, cast all weekend.
Yeah,
There we go. I just walk around with a phone, and people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm casting. Cool. But it's really interesting. I gotta say, looking at these as a whole, Sylvaneth seemed to have kind of like died down a little bit.
at least
to
here because we had
Skaven.
so many of them.
To Skaven. What is it? We had at least one, maybe two players.
Yeah, me and Mateus.
Yeah. Well, three Skaven lists, right? Was it only two?
I think just me and him.
Only two, but like I don't know, it's a 24-person event, right? So I think a lot of what you're seeing is just sort of what do the people coming to the event want to play?
Oh yeah.
Like this is not a normal. I mean, there's no Nurgle. There's not a single Nurgle list here.
I mean, I
burnt
love it.
mine, so.
And I mean, it's still 1/4 Kronspine then, right? No, it's less than 1/4, right? Were
Yeah,
there only
it's about
5?
1/5 because there's
Okay.
24 players and there's 5 Kronspines. But yeah, I think the most was still Stormcast, which we kind of expect for this area.
Is that true? Or there's more than two?
I think there were 3.
Yeah, there were 3.
The Lemoy,
Jack.
the guy, Jack, and then the guy from Idaho or
I see.
the east
Okay,
side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing with more than 3.
And then quite a few with 2, I believe. Daughters, Skaven, Corn randomly, Seraphon, however, they're different sub-factions. So
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty good distribution overall.
it is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
And then-
a lot of death. Only the Soulblight Gravelords for death. No Night Haunt, which I really was contemplating. It was going to be my Night Haunt first appearance or the Curveball Skaven, as I went with the more fun option. I thought.
We really got to start just rolling dice and picking armies that we're going to bring based on that.
Oh, Flesh Eater Courts. I lied. Okay.
Yeah, I actually really do like that game unless I think that's going to be fun, and I'm just like thinking about it playing against. I'm like,
We can be there together, buddy.
I want details. That list looks like a lot of fun.
I'll report back.
Actually, both of them look like a ton of fun. I want to hear back on both of those because just the amount of Dragon Ogres and then that Skaven list. Excellent.
Well, thanks for doing this, guys.
Good to
Yeah.
see you.
Thanks everybody for watching. And
Peace out, Cub Scouts.
as always, strikes last. And stuff. We're striking last on stream. Goodbye.